Hey y'all, welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show. This is episode 80 of the first and the only podcast dedicated to all things night vision, thermal imaging, hog hunting, coyote hunting. If you can do it at night with a thermal or night vision scope, we're going to talk about it on this show. My name is Jason. I'm the owner of Outdoor Legacy, specializing in night vision and thermal optics. And as always, I've got my sidekick and my co-host, Hans from the Hansies Texas YouTube channel. What's going on tonight, Hans?
Good, man. I want to comment and speak a little bit of something that I've been dealing with that I finally think that I've kicked and gotten over. But, Jason, you know about this because I've talked about it a lot. But I'm calling it a case of thermal eye, or maybe it's caused by hunting too much. But for the last several months, my eyelid has been swollen. I know some people have said it looked like I got punched in the eye. And you probably noticed on the past, if you're watching on YouTube on the past episodes, you can see my left eye is swollen. And it's not my shooting eye, but it's my left eye. And I think it's from hunting every night and clenching my left eye really tight when I'm looking through the scope. And I had to have a procedure done. But I'm happy to say, Jason, I haven't seen you since I had it done. I'm like 99%. Well, looking good.
Let me tell you something. Well, I don't know if you're 99% looking good. You may be better.
Well, the eyes looking,
the eyes looking
99% better.
I'm going to tell you something. Hans has been fighting this, and he's been to a bunch of doctors. I mean, I'd talk to him on the phone. He'd be like, well, I'm going here to the doctor to get my eye looked at. And they were giving him shots and giving him medicine and steroids. And I'm glad you finally got it fixed, though.
The procedure, I'm not going to go into detail, and Jason knows, but it was painful procedure to get it taken care of, but it's all healed up and it does. It looks back to normal. So I'm very happy about that.
So he's announcing this because he's going to quit hog and coyote hunting now. He's retiring.
No, I was just convinced that I was going to have a swollen eye the rest of my life pretty much. But because you were right, I went to several doctors and they didn't know what it was, but I went to the right doctor and they're like, oh, yeah, this is very common. We do this procedure every day. So, I guess it's about going to the right people. Go to the right doctor.
That's
is
important.
the first lesson. But, hey, I want to say one thing. So we have, and I hope I'm not stealing your thunder because you mentioned it in the pre-show check. We have a commenter that's commented on many past episodes about ATN. He really likes his ATN scope, and he really wants other people to like his ATN scope. But today's video and podcast is about best scopes under $6,000, and spoiler alert, we are not talking about ATN tonight. that is not coming up.
Yeah, that was actually not in my list of things to talk about, but I will mention that. I think we're going to have to do this on every one of these because I know we've got a lot of regular listeners that never miss an episode, and to y'all listening, thank you. We know that a lot of people also find this through search, and it may be the very first time they've ever heard one of our shows. So we do want to speak to that real quick, and if you're every week listener, you probably get bored of hearing this. Hans and I personally don't use ATN. We have in the past. We both used them. I've sold them. We've been down the road, and we just choose as an ethical business decision at this point to no longer sell their products just due to some past problems and customer service issues. So if you've got one and like it, super. It's just something that we can't personally recommend. So we're not going to list them in this group. I'll talk about the scopes here in just a couple minutes. And these are the scopes that we would personally have used every single one of these scopes and recommend. And so that's it. If you don't disagree with our list or our choices, make your own list, and let's hear it. I'm all ears for hearing everybody else's list. So,
like I said, he likes his ATN scope. He wants everybody else to like it too, and I get it. Everybody, it's almost like your favorite brand of truck. Everybody's got their favorite, but we are not going to be talking about any ATN scopes in the list of scopes under $6,000. Last thing before we get into me introing the topic is Jeffrey Epstein didn't suicide himself. But That's true. Now we're going to be talking about the best scopes under $6,000. This is scopes from $4,000 up to $6,000. And last week we talked about our favorite scopes under $4,000, and I know probably you have a smile on your face from the comment I made.
I have a lot of comments. I even had some more stuff to talk about in our show notes, like some new products that are out, some new exciting things. But we're not going to talk about that this week because Hans just skipped all of that. So come back next week for
no, you know
more,
what? We need to talk.
No,
we need to talk about. Let's talk about the battery situation, because that's important, and we need to get that information out.
All right. Well, it says, I'm going to get it real quick. If you own a Pulsar Trail, a Pulsar Helion, or a Pulsar Accolade, they all take an IPS 5 or an IPS 10 battery pack. That is a proprietary battery pack Pulsar makes. Everybody loves them. They run 6 to 8 hours on the IPS 5, and they run long time. I think that they're saying, like up to 16 on the IPS 10. Those batteries are officially discontinued. So if you own a Pulsar, Helion, Trail, or Accolade, you are completely out of luck. But the good news is they have already replaced them. And these batteries are already available today. We have them in stock at OutdoorLegacyGear.com. They are called the IPS 7, which is a replacement for the 5, and the IPS 14, which is the replacement for the 10. And the prices are essentially the same. It's still $99 for the IPS 7, which is the same price as it was before. The IPS 14 is $119, which that's $10 more than the IPS 10 was. The IPS 7 will run 10 to 12 hours, up from 6 to 8, and the IPS 14 will run 21 to 26 hours. So it's really crazy. It's kind of odd that they're coming out with these new batteries now, since these products have been on the market a while. We know the trails are kind of going to be going away. But anyway, for whatever it's worth, these are the replacements. The IPS 5s and 10s are completely gone. We will not see any more of those from Pulsar. That's the word on the street. We already have the 7s and the 14s in the warehouse in stock. So if you've got a Helion, an Accolade, or a Pulsar Trail, and you need an extra battery, or you're looking for something for some long battery life for this winter, the cold weather coming up, check one of these batteries out.
Yeah. So that's a great improvement, from what
and
they
the
were in the
price
runtime
basically
before.
Doesn't change either. It
Yeah.
doesn't change at all
Price
on the IPS 7.
Yeah.
So
price is unchanged, and I think you kind of freaked out everybody when you talked about those batteries were no longer available.
I know. I did that on purpose.
People are on the edge of their seat.
Somebody's YouTube video, their internet stops right there. That's all they heard.
Yeah. So,
well, let's get into these scopes here. Let's talk about this. I mean,
So again, just to recap, we're going to be talking about the best scopes between $4,000 and $6,000, and like we did last week, Jason and I are going to be giving our favorites for the long range coyote hunters, our favorites for the southern hog hunters, and our overall favorite, same format as the show last week. But yeah, Jason, get into the list of scopes. We've got a bunch of them. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, this was hard for me. I've had to put a lot of thought into my choices here. So
I agree, and we're gonna upset some people with some of the. I don't know what Hans's picks are. He doesn't know what mine are. We have not told each other. If you watched me last week, I stumbled around. I didn't know what to pick. I did sit down tonight after I had supper and was poured over this list and wrote down my picks. Now we'll see if I stick to them by the time we get done with this, but I've got them written down. So here's the scopes that we're going over. These are basically written down in not an exact order, but this is where we're starting. The Pulsar Trail XQ50 laser rangefinder model. It is a 2.7 base power magnification, and it's $42.99. We've got the FLIR Sight Pro Pts 736. It's a 6-power base magnification, and it's $47.95. We've got the Pulsar Trail XP50 at 1.6 power at $49.99. Now I'm going to go ahead and tell you, spoiler alert, we're going to take this scope off the list. It is available today. It is not going to be on the market for much longer. It is going away. The non-LRF trails are all going to be going out, and I just don't think right now it's going to be fair to pick that scope. So as much as we love it, Hans and I both used it for last couple of years, I'm going to just knock it off the list. But I think it has to be mentioned, and that's why it has been a very popular scope. Next, we've got the Pulsar Trail XP50 LRF, laser rangefinder. That scope is scheduled to stay through 2020. It is a 1.6 power base magnification, $59.99, so $6,000. New on the list, we've got the Pulsar Thermion XP38. It is a 1.5 power base mag at $44.99. Thermion XP50, 2 power base mag, $49.99. Then we've got the Envision Halo. It's a 1.75 base magnification at $59.99. And we've got the Trijion Mark II 20 millimeter 1.5 power at the same price of $59.99. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different scopes, 4 different manufacturers. Yeah, we've got Envision, Trijion, Pulsar, and FLIR. There are 4 Pulsars on there, so I know there's going to be people saying, well, it's always Pulsars. Folks, this is every scope, current model scope that FLIR, Trijion, Envision, Pulsar have. So it is what it is.
Under 6,000. So yeah, there are.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, in this price range, 4,000 to 6,000. Right. Yep. So that's it. And this is our 2019 picks. Okay, so I'm going to start this off, and we're going to talk about the long range coyote hunting scopes. Now, I'm going to break this down into 2 categories. Even though it's the long-range coyote hunter, because there's 2 scopes here, and there's one that I just don't want to ditch. It's the Sight Pro Pts 736. This is a 6 power base magnification. It's got an extremely narrow field of view. It's 16 foot at 100 yards. So again, for close range stuff, it is not the scope for you. For long range, 200 yard plus, this is the scope. I mean, this is the ultimate long range. It's got a 75 millimeter objective lens, boson.
It's like having one of those cable satellite antenna.
It is
things on the top.
It's huge.
It's how big. Objective lens.
It is huge. Hans and I both used it. We've both got some amazing video out of this thing. It is a great optic, beautiful image quality. I mean, for a 320 by 240, 12 micron, or 256 actually, it is a great image, but it's just too much magnification for the average guy. So if you're shooting super long range coyotes, then I'm going to say that's my pick. If you want the more, all around, I'm going to go with the Pulsar Trail XQ50 LRF. So that's going to be my all-around coyote. My reasoning for that is
what's your number 1 and your number 2?
Well, number 1 I'm going to say is the XQ50 LRF. Okay. I'll say number 2 is a 736, but if you said super long range, then I would say 736. I mean, but I'm kind of breaking that 2 categories. But number 1 is the XQ50 LRF. It's a 2.7 power. Besides that 6 power, it is the highest magnification on this list. All right, it's everything else is down in the 1s. It's a 2.7. There's absolutely no reason with this scope that you can't shoot 50 yards, and you shouldn't be able to shoot 250. And if you're a long-range shooter and have got some experience behind you, you could probably shoot 300 plus. Hans and I don't advise it. It's not something we would do, but I know guys that have experience and are doing it. So I think for coyote hunters, this is the scope. It's got the laser rangefinder, so you're going to be able to tell exactly how far the coyote is. You are going to be able to extend those shots by knowing exactly how far. So that is my pick. What do you say, Hans?
Yeah, so this of all the 3 categories, this was my easiest choice, because really, like you said, there's only 2, I think, choices or legitimate choices for long range only shooting or coyote hunting. So my first choice, my favorite, was the Pulsar XQ50 LRF. I think it does. The reason why, and I'll go ahead and tell you my second. My second, again, was the FLIR PTS 736. There's 2 to choose from.
There we go.
My favorite, and the reason why the Pulsar XQ50 LRF is my favorite over the 736. Again, the 736, like Jason said, beautiful picture image. 6 power is going to get you a long way out there. But as we know, when it comes to coyote hunting, you could be taking a 300-yard shot, or that coyote could be running in right up to the collar. And at 6 power, if that coyote runs any closer than 50 yards, it's going to be difficult for follow-up shots. It really is.
50?
It's almost too.
I'd say 100, 150.
Would you?
I mean,
Yeah.
it's so.
It's going to be difficult for follow-up shots for sure at any of those ranges. But that's really the only reason why I chose. And plus the Pulsar XQ50 does come with the laser rangefinder, which is a pretty awesome tool to have. And the Pulsars right now are the only ones that have it integrated into the scope. And it's $500 less expensive than the FLIR PTS 736. Yeah. But it's both of them are great scopes.
I want to say one quick thing. I'm interrupting you here, but so we just glossed over this. If you're not familiar, a Trail XQ50 LRF, again 2.7 power. It's $42.99. It does have the internal video and audio recording. It has picture-in-picture. It has a removable battery pack, the IPSs we just talked about before the show. That's the battery packs that it uses, and it also has a smartphone app. So I didn't want to leave any of that out that somebody who's not familiar with it. Right. This is a full-featured scope. So,
and the FLIR PTS 736 price on is $47.95. Does have internal video recording. Does not record audio. It runs off CR123A batteries, but you can purchase an external battery pack to power it. But both of them are great scopes. It does concern me though that magnification being so high and coyotes running in close. So I think it's good to have kind of an intermediate availability with ranges and stuff. But that's our favorite, and I think that was a pretty easy choice. But the next one is I struggled a little bit with this one. Too. This is our favorites for all you southern hog hunters out there, primarily taking 50 to 100 yard shots.
Maybe 50 to 100, farther. But I mean 150, 200 stretching it out sometimes.
So my favorite, and coming in at a very close second, but my favorite is going to be, and I'm going to say the Pulsar Thermion XP50. And the reason why I chose that as my favorite, and I'll talk about my second favorite, but all of the things, the image, in my opinion, at least the viewfinder screen is upgraded from the Trail. Looks like a bigger image. It does. The image is great. The Trail XP50s are very good, but I think that the picture quality on the Thermion XP50 is even better. That does come with all the bells and whistles that I like to have with the internal video recording, all that, rechargeable batteries, all that fancy stuff. And I use a Pulsar Thermion XP50. That's what I choose to use. I know Jason's a good buddy. He'd probably send me anything that I wanted, and that's the scope that I choose to hunt with. And I am a southern hog hunter, so I guess there is some credibility there.
I think so.
But that's the scope that I choose.
So what's your second then? What were you?
So my second, and if you're talking about picture quality, it would probably it'd be not smart to mention the Envision Halo.
It wouldn't be smart to mention, or wouldn't be smart to not mention?
To not mention.
There you go. Okay,
so my second choice was the Envision Halo. It says magnification 1.75. It seems quite a bit lower than that.
It is.
It's very low. But if you're talking about what's got the best picture image on anything listed on the list that we have right now, it's going to be the Trijion and the Envision. And really the only reason why I didn't choose the Envision Halo is because it says 1.75 power, but I'm thinking that it's more in like the 1.2 power range. And it is almost too low because I use my Thermion XP50 to shoot hogs at 20 yards or hogs at 150. To me, 2 power, using the Trail XP50 at 1.6 and now using the Thermion XP50 at 2 power, to me, 2 power is the number. That is the sweet spot. That is the perfect magnification to let me shoot hogs at close range or shoot coyotes at 200 yards. I can do it with either or. So that's why I chose the Thermion XP50. What do you got, Jason? I'm interested to hear what you have.
Well, this was difficult for me because there are a lot of options in here. I've used every one of these scopes. I like them all. I'm going to concur with you and say the very best image quality here is the Envision Halo. This not taking anything away from the Trijion Mark II. I like that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that are going to say, how can you not choose the Trijion as the best of all of these?
Yeah, I liked, well, the Envision and the Trijion are using the exact same BAE thermal core, okay? There is a lot of people that have used both of, all the different Trijions and the Envisions, and they'll argue the Envisions are better. Hans and I lean that direction. I mean, I think it is an argument that can be had either way. They're extremely close. Let's just say that. Even if we say they match up in image quality, I do like the Halo better. I like the design. I like the looks. I like the menu system much better. I like the nuking better on the Envisions. So that's not my number one pick, but I will say that I'm giving you the reason that let me say this. I'm talking about how good it is, but I'm going to tell you why I don't pick it. I love the image quality. Hans is right. The magnification is a little too low for me. It would probably do everything I need to do for 95% of my hog hunting, but there are times that we get on some coyotes or we do something. I would really like a little more magnification than that, because it's really not 1.7, so it's lower than that. Maybe that 1.2, 1.3, I'd like a little more. My other big hang up is I like the internal video recording, the battery packs, the picture-in-picture. So I'm going to go back to Pulsar. I know we're going to get called out again, and we're going to be called shills. We're going to be called all kinds of dirty words, and Pulsar's paying us and all that. And I called my Pulsar rep last week, and which, by the way, he hadn't even listened to the podcast, I don't think. And I said, hey, I need to get that check from y'all. And he said, check for what? And I said, well, we're getting called out on YouTube as being shills for y'all, and that y'all are paying us to review all your scopes. And I said, so I'm just waiting on that check. So far, it has not been in the mail, but I'm going to the mailbox every day. I'm going to choose, since Pulsar is paying us so much money to do this, if you believe that, and the Thermion XP50. And how can I not choose it? Because, like Hans said, we've got options of every scope on the market. We can use any of them. Hans and I both had the Reap IR Trijion for a long time. Liked it, used it. I've got the Envision Halo LR. I mean, I really like it. Beautiful image quality. But it comes down to the Thermion XP50 is what I choose. And no, it's not because somebody's paying us. It is because I like all the features. And I'm going to tell you a big one that I talk about with customers a lot. I personally, personal opinion, all you Trijion and Halo guys, Envision, I know it's not a big deal to y'all. I like an automatic or a semi-automatic nuke or calibration. If you don't know what that means, I'm not going to get into all that now. We can talk about it in another show. But basically, it is a automatic or semi-automatic is a very quick way to calibrate that sensor. That's what a big thing for me, getting away from the Envision, the Trijion. I like all the features of the XP50. Everything you said, I mimic there. The 2-power I think is a great place to be. If I had to have a second place, I would say it's going to be either the Envision Halo or the Trail XP50 LRF. Again, I love the LRFs. So what do you say?
Yeah, so I agree with your choices. I thought about the Trail XP50. Go ahead, go get you a cough drop or something.
I'm going to need something. Golly, choking up.
The Trail XP50 LRF, that was one of the ones I was throwing in there to debate as far as the second choice. But I know that there being a $1,000 difference, and for me, I wouldn't use the LRF that much at all. So I couldn't really justify putting it in my top two. But and to talk about if we were talking about scopes over $6,000, as you know, the Halo LR.
Well, hang on, don't wait a minute. We'll have a show for that. Don't be stealing all the thunder of another show.
Yeah, but the Halo, the Envision makes a great scope. I hope to be talking about some new products from them in 2020. I hope they come out with something, because the Halos that they've come out with and they've made have been great, and I would love to see some more stuff coming out, because the stuff is really good.
Yeah, and I want to be very clear. I mean, today we sold, 2 Envision Halos. Okay, I mean, I think these are great scopes. I recommend them when they meet the application and the needs. The 2 guys that I sold them to today, I don't want to get into too much. They probably listen to the show and don't want me talking about their situation. But one of the guys, he just flat out, he says, "Man, I'm a coyote hunter." He bought the LR. He said, this is what he told me. He said, "I want the very best image quality I can get. I do not care anything about the video recording. I don't care about the battery packs." He said, "I can feed it batteries. I'll put an external battery pack on it, USB." He said, "All I care about is the absolute best image quality that I can get, and I want something between 3 and 4 power." Well, that's easy. I didn't say, "Oh, you need to go buy a Pulsar." I said, "Man, here's the scope, the Halo LR." And he goes, "Man, I was hoping you were going to tell me that." He said, "That's the one I've been looking at." And he said, that's it. So anyway, I think it's a great optic. It just depends on what you want. And I know for Hans and I, we like the bells and whistles. I mean, we do. Yeah. We use them. I mean, the video recording and all that stuff.
When you're creating content, when you're trying to get, and that's the reason also that when you see my videos on YouTube, you don't see me zooming in a lot, because when you zoom in, you lose picture quality, because it's cutting the resolution in half. So a lot of the hog hunters that you see that are producing content, they're not using zoom. They're trying to shoot on the base native magnification. So that's a lot of the reason why having that internal video recording, getting the best picture quality recording that you can possibly get. That's a little reason why we use it. But and I want to hear your overall.
I want to say one more thing too. The poor little Trijion Mark II here just got no airtime. But I want to tell you this: I've been selling scopes for a long time. I've been selling Trijion for a long time. That scope just does not sell well. I mean, it is just not a popular scope. It is what it is. It's kind of the redheaded stepchild of Trijicons. Most guys that look at it for $6,000, they just decide to move on up, and they want something with a little higher magnification. They're going to spend that much money, and so it just never sold well. I have nothing against the scope. I think that the turret system on the Mark IIs or the menu systems are great. So anyway, I just throwing that out there. My overall pick, I think, Hans, you should choose first. That's the one thing I'm hung on of what to choose. Do you know you have yours?
Yeah, yeah. My overall choice, and I think it's a pretty easy one, is going to be that Pulsar Thermi on XP50. The new design where it looks like a more traditional rifle scope makes the mounting options a lot broader. You can mount it on a bolt rifle. It uses regular 30 millimeter rings. I've got mine right now on an American Defense Manufacturing QD mount, one-piece QD mount. But just the feel of the scope, the eye relief is perfect. It functions great. The picture's great. The videos that come off it are very good quality. And I tell you what, I've killed a lot of hogs with it, and I've killed more coyotes this year than I've ever killed. And I've been taking some really long shots and dropping coyotes at 200 yards with that Thermi on XP50 and not having a problem at all. So that's my choice. Again, great for that 2 power. Is perfect for close range. It's perfect for taking longer shots if you need to. And yeah, don't try to ask for my Thermion back.
Well, here we go again. Folks, Hans and I did not talk. I mean, before this specifically, we said, nope, you choose yours and I choose mine. We didn't know. We have basically gone through this list and chose the exact same scopes. And I think there's 2 reasons for that. One reason is that we hunt in very similar conditions here in East Texas. We have a very similar hunting style that we do. Mm-hmm. And I think to be honest, it's probably just, it's why we do so well together getting along on this podcast, is we just agree on, we just have a lot of the same opinions, and somebody else might have a different one. But
the fact is, we've used all these scopes in the field for a long time. Mm-hmm. We've tested them all. When you and I test the scope, before we do a review, we always talk about it. We talk about our likes and our dislikes, best applications. So we have a long history with every scope on this list, using them out in the field, hunting hogs, hunting coyotes. And so you and I have talked at length about all of these. And, I don't think it would be any surprise if a person out there who hunts as much as we do and knows as much about scopes as we do, if they looked at this list, their list would probably look a lot like ours. So
I think it's going to be very similar. I think the one place where some guys are they're going to want to go back to is they're going to go back to the scope we crossed off, which is the Pulsar Trail XP50, which again we used extensively. I mean, I still have one that's one of the first 22 that ever shipped into the country. Love the scope, but it's going away. So we can't put that on this list here. It doesn't do any good to talk about what's going on for now and hopefully into 2020. So that's where I think if we take that off, we force that off the list, I think it would be very hard to come up with anything much different than this with guys that do the hunting we do. So yeah, I'm going to go with the Thermion XP50, and Hans said this, and I'm going to just reiterate it, and I kind of said it too. We can use any of these scopes we want. And I joked about Pulsar paying us and all that. Nobody's paying us anything. Nobody. I buy these scopes and resell them. That's what we do as a dealer, and we choose the ones we like. And I can tell you this: there's a lot of dealers that won't use the Thermions. They want to use the Envisions and the Trijicons because that makes it easier for them to sell them because they make more money on them. All right, so we're doing ourselves a disservice by if it was all
That's
about
true.
money. If it was
That's
all
true.
about money, we would be using nothing but the Trijicons and
This would
the
be
Envision.
This would be the late night vision, Envision or Trijion show.
Sure. If it was all about money, that's exactly right.
One thing we didn't spend a lot of time on is that Thermion XP38.
Yep.
Again, a great scope. They raised the magnification from the Trail to the Thermion from 1.2 up to 1.5, so a little bit of a bump. Great scope. The reason it's that XP50 at 2 power, I think 2 power is just my sweet spot. That's for hunting hogs and coyotes overall. But again, that's another one we didn't spend a lot of time on, but a good scope.
Yeah, I've
as well.
sold a lot of Thermion XP38s. A lot of people are looking at it saying, you know what, I am going to be hunting super close stuff. I don't need the 2 power. Mm-hmm. Maybe they had an XP50 or were familiar with one and said, hey, that was enough. The Trail XP50, 1.6 power. And they say, I can get a Thermion XP50 all these numbers, XP38 for $500 less. And so we've sold a lot of those, very popular. Mm-hmm. One more scope that's not mentioned on here, and it's been gone for a long time now. I say a long time, all year. They're still floating around, a few of them out there, but that's the Trail XP38. It was a 1.2 power. It doesn't deserve to make this list. If it had been in production, I wouldn't have put it on the list. I'd have just marked it off. It was a 1.2 power. So if somebody's wondering about that scope, I just think it's way too low magnification. So again, I'm with Hans, Thermion XP50. That is my choice. That's what we're using. And you know what? I hope it changes next year. And hey, if it's somebody else, if Envision or Trijicon can do something, I think a big deal for Hans and I. And I'll say this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Hans, but I don't care what anybody else does. It's going to take a lot to get me away from internal video recording.
Right.
That's going to be a big deal for me in this industry. Doing what I do. If I was just shooting stuff for fun and, didn't have to put the videos on YouTube, didn't have to create the content, you know what? Probably wouldn't matter that much. But for what we're doing, I just personally, I hate dragging around cords and cables.
I know. I was going to say, I don't like strapping extra stuff to my rifle and having cables and cords duct taped or electrical taped all over the place. I just don't like it. But hey, y'all, if y'all have any questions or if you're interested in talking more or purchasing one of these scopes, reach out to Jason over at outdoorlegacygear.com. You can call him at 877-350-1020 1818. But Jason, tell them we've got a new optic that we're going to be talking about pretty soon as well.
We will be. This is a real surprise to us. Kind of like those IPS batteries. It was just a matter
Yeah.
of they said, hey, they're in the warehouse. Oh, by the way, it was just like that. We've got some coming in, the Pulsar Axion Key XM22. Now, this is an optic that was announced at SHOT Show, but they said, hey, it may not ever be produced. We put in some orders for them, but they said, just count it out. Don't talk to people about it. Looks like it's probably not going to happen. If it does, it'll be later in the year. To be honest with you, completely forgot about it. I didn't even remember it exists. And my Pulsar rep called and said, hey, well, we got these things coming in and you've got them on order. And I was like, what? What is it? I don't remember. That was in January. So what it is, briefly, I'm going to tell you what we know, which is not much. They are a 2-power Axion key. So if you're familiar with the Pulsar Axion handhelds, this is what they are. It's a 2-power. It's going to have the FLCOS display, which is a smaller resolution, smaller physical size display. It's a step down from the AMOLEDs, which are in all the other Pulsars. And it is going to have the removable rechargeable battery, but no video recording, no smartphone app. And it's going to be $16.99, and I have them coming very, very soon.
Yeah.
I mean, I already got notification today of how many we're getting on the first shipment, and so we'll be testing those out. We'll be messing around with them in the field, and we'll do a review on it and talk about it. I think it's going to be obviously very, very similar to the Axion XM30 key for $18.99. It's 2.5 power. This is going to be a half a power less and $200 less. So we're going to see how they compare. We'll check them out, and we'll be doing a review on those after we get them in our hands.
Absolutely.
Well,
so
folks,
thank y'all for joining. Yeah,
I was just
tell them where to find us.
Yeah, absolutely. Check us out at Tom's already told you that. Check us out at the Late Night Vision Show. .com.
Yeah.
You can find us there. You can find the Late Night Vision Show on YouTube. If you're not already watching us there, you can find us on all the major podcast apps as well. If you would share, subscribe, leave positive reviews, whatever you can do for us, it means a lot, and we would appreciate it. We drop new episodes every Thursday, so you can find us there. You can find Hans on YouTube. That's the big place to find him. Just go and search HANSETX, Hans East Texas. He puts out videos 2 or 3 times a month, sometimes more than that. Lots of hands-on reviews in the field, a lot of hog shooting, coyote shooting, so go check all those out. And you can find him on Instagram as well. He hangs out over there and posts a bunch of pictures from all his nightly kills. And folks, he gets eye damage over this.
Exactly.
All, high medical bills, all just for your viewing pleasure. So go follow him over there, and I'm sure he'll greatly appreciate it.
I will. And if you're looking, we get people all the time to reach out and say, how can we support the show? We've got a lot of people that watch and listen every week. The best way to support the show is easy. If you're interested in purchasing a night vision or thermal scope, please give Outdoor Legacy Gear a chance for your business. We know there's a lot of choices out there, and every time we get an opportunity to speak with somebody, we're very appreciative because we know there is a lot of choices. But give us a call. Let us talk you through your scenario, your best applications for the hunting type that you're in, and we really appreciate a shot. So give us a call, 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacygear.com. As always, thank you for joining us. This has been episode 80, Best Thermal Scopes between $4,000 and $6,000. Stay tuned. We'll be doing more reviews like this, more of our best of, and we'll see y'all next week for episode 81. Thank you. Stay safe in the fields. Keep making them bacon pancakes.